ADHD Babes, the podcast. A podcast hosted by the ADHD Babes community for the community. Please note, nothing mentioned during the podcast is meant as a diagnosis. If you believe you have ADHD, please seek professional advice and visit or join ADHDBabes.com for help with diagnosis. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. And now, you're listening to the next episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. Welcome to ADHD Tax Part 2. If you haven't already, check out Part 1 before you delve in. That's where we explore the science behind ADHD tax and how it affects our day-to-day life. In this episode, we'll be exploring the cultural implications of ADHD tax, as well as some tips and tricks on how we overcome it.
How does family and culture have shaped how you view money or administration, for example? Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. I'll go with I think, like I mentioned, I'm Afro-Caribbean. I'm grown up in a Ghanaian family. And when it comes to finance especially, it is very much like, even with the science behind it, I'm not even sure how it would run. I'm gonna test this on my mum later, let's see. But when it comes to these kind of things, it is very much because when we talk about the money, when we talk about finance, that bit of the tax, it's very, very hard, especially for our families, just to get their head around, because it's sort of, you know how embarrassing it is. It's like, my mum came over to this country with nothing. And they managed to do all of this, be moving money from this pot to this pot, make money here and there, all of these kind of things now. And then I'm just her daughter, though, her youngest daughter, is scared of opening her letters. Like, it is it's still like there's a clear, like that clear little rub there. And there's also that kind of, that thing about being strong as well. And to be fair, the being strong thing is actually basically what has actually probably got me to this point, actually. So, because even though you have to all of the dread, all of the anxiety and all of that stuff, I still have to keep things moving. I still have to make sure I'm working and stuff like that to be able to pay for all of this ADHD tax. I still have to do all of those kind of things.
Yeah.
So that bit of it actually kind of like, it does give you that kind of like, that little like kind of strength thing in a weird way, if that makes sense. That's just for me. I'm not speaking for anyone else as well. But when it comes to the kind of cultural thing, so and it is grounded in, like, you know, when you thinking about like when they would have first come over to this country, they didn't have a lot, and then they did manage to build something, and all of that is built around finance, I'm afraid. And I think when it comes to, I think that where it has though, like especially for like my mum and my parents and stuff, they've had to pick up a lot of the slack where, you know, all of a sudden that £50 bill has now turned into 500. You're like, I'm really, really, really sorry, but you know, they're going to come and take the car, so I'm going to need you to step in here. So it's these things like that. And then it is like, yeah, and so the shame knows no bounds when you're kind of looking at it like that. But the thing is that because the way I look at it is that it's the things that I do and the manifestation of what it is and everything like that is so extreme to a neurotypical person anyway, that it's like you can't even really deny that it's there. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too extreme for them to be like, oh, no, you're lying about it. It's just, or it's just a Western thing, or because, like, you know, history has shown, and 100% of the times, that this keeps on happening. So it's those kind of, it takes a really long time to, kind of, to like mold that around the cultural thing. But like I said, it gets to, at this point, like we were saying, we're all late diagnosis people as well. So at this point, a lot of the damage has already been done. We're sitting on a lot of evidence, though, that it is a very, very real thing. And it gets to the point as well, like sometimes my mum will come and she'll open all of my letters. She'll open my letters for me. Then, or she'll sort out the letter and then she'll hand me a pile of the letters and she's like, these are your letters. Now I'm looking around, I do see the piles here, but she's tried.
Yeah.
So I can see them here, I really can. And then there's 4 here and a pile of letters as well. So she's tried. Where we've got there almost. But yeah, it is. It's so the culture, when you measure ADHD with cultural cultural identity and things like that. It's I don't know what to tell you, but we're still here. That kind of thing.
Absolutely. For me, having, you know, my family and the expectation as well, like obviously my parents came here as well with nothing, asylum seekers. I came to the UK when I was 11, you know, started from zero. And they build up a business, knowing, you know, a lot of not knowing the language really at that time, and being able to accomplish so many things. Like my mum is amazing with money, but I'm pretty sure my mum also has ADHD.
Stop.
So I was just thinking, how did she do it? Because my dad always, you know, handed it over. So my mum was the one that's dealt with the finances at home, and she did wonders. Like she did and she made the money stretch and go a long way. Like, you know, I'm the eldest of three. So my brothers as well. And they also learned from mom, you know, how to manage their money. But for me, you know, I had to learn through my own experience. Like I did not learn from her at all. I did not get that, you know, finance ability or whatever that she has. And she's really, 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 really good. Like she makes money go far, far places. And but my dad in the other way, my dad likes to spend. Like every money that he gets, he's like, he wants to spend it. But he works really, really hard for his money as well. So he's a believer of, you know, if I'm working really hard, I'm going to give myself some enjoyment from that money. So he thinks about the here and now, whilst my mom thinks about her grandkids and all of that, what she wants to, the legacy that she wants to leave behind. So yeah, it's very difficult to come to the halfway through the month. And I'm a grown adult, my husband's a grown adult. I hide it from my husband. I don't tell him we actually don't have enough money for the rest of the month. So I have to run to my dad or my mom and say, can I please borrow some money? Because, you know, I don't have enough to cover for bills. I don't have enough to cover for groceries. I don't have enough to cover for petrol or whatever. So they're like, what do you mean? But you earn so much more money than we did when we came to this country. That's the first thing they would say to me. Okay, and also you speak English really, really well. Like, I don't understand. Why are you coming to us? All right, set up another business or like do a hustle on the side. I don't know. But, you know, start handling your money. And then they come to the point where they actually have come to my house and opened up my pay slips and they know exactly how much money I earn. They know exactly how much money my husband earns. So they're like, yeah, no, what are you doing with the money? So it's very shameful to have to kind of admit. But that, as I said, that changed after I was diagnosed a lot. Because now I recognize that the reasons behind it, the science behind it, and I now know how to hold myself accountable in certain situations. I don't borrow no more money from my mum and dad, so I'm in a good place, I guess, in that sense. But that was my life. That was me. From the moment I got married when I was 25 up until, I don't know, I was 38. Every month I was borrowing money and then I would pay it back and then borrow again and then pay it back and then borrow again. And it was just like a constant, and I wasn't even telling my husband about it. When he found out, he was horrified. He was just like, oh my God, what? This is really bad. Because we do earn enough money to cover all of our bills and to look after our family well. So yeah.
I resonate with everything that everyone has said. And similar to you, when it comes to borrowing, and we're going to talk about the shame as well, is having to, because obviously before I was diagnosed, I didn't know, I just thought I was just really bad with money. It was just like, I would see that, oh my God, there's money there. And then by the time the middle of the month comes, it's gone. And then explain that to family members. And my mom will be like, but you're working, what are you doing with the money? And I'll be like, I don't know.
Mum, please.
And imagine hearing that from a Nigerian mum. Hey, she will be watching my pocket. She would watch my pocket every single time. Are you sure you want to be buying that? You've got another bag from Primark. What are you doing? What's in that bag? I thought you didn't have money. So that was my shame when I was living at home. And so when I then moved out, and then obviously I had to like pay bills and stuff like that, and still having to ask her, there was there was this shame because it was kind of like, how do I explain that I need to ask money? And my mum will be, my mum does this thing, and it's I won't try and draw her out. It was like manipulation in a sense that, it's kind of like, oh, now you owe me. Or it's like, you have to beg for the money. But you'd be like, oh, mum, please, I promise I'll pay you back. I promise. And do you know how that feels as a grown adult now having to now beg? Like,
and they're going to give it to you, though. That's the thing. They're going to give it to you.
Yeah.
But they make you go through all of those
the
questions
hoops and the jumps and the everything.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, I don't want to do this. I wish I wasn't in this situation. And I wish it was so much different. But the reality is this, even kind of like, I no longer ask my mum for money. Like, I don't even like, it's kind of like my brother, but it's more or less, it's not huge chunks of money. It's kind of like where I'm like, okay, I've tried to keep on top of my bills for the whole month. I've done everything and I have no more money left. So I would say pretty much to my brother, yo, can you borrow me a couple hundred, like just £100 real quick? I'm getting paid next week, Friday. I'll run you the money back. And he's very understanding. If he can give it to me, he'll give it to me. If he can't, then that's fine. But again, there is a certain shame. And sometimes it is just one of those things where you're kind of like, I don't want to have to do this, but I have no choice.
Yeah.
And so, the strain is getting better. I think, like you said, like, parents coming from, Africa or South America or the Caribbeans and, kind of working their asses off. And again, similar, my mum, I also think she has undiagnosed ADHD, but when it came to money,
100%.
hey, that woman had money. And also,
skills.
And also, I also felt like knowing that, it also gave me the opportunity to think I can just ask her anyhow. And now that I know that a lot older, it's kind of like, well, you didn't know what your mum's circumstances was and what your thing is. Because you saw that she was able to save, you can now be asking her for £500 here, £500 there. Like she just has it. So,
It doesn't matter how much they have either. If I'm coming again and I'm like, man, the bailiffs are going to take away the car because I didn't do the parking ticket thing that started off as like £6. I just had to pay the £6, but now it's here. Like, it doesn't matter how much money you have or what. It doesn't really matter at all. It's still like, you think you can come over here and sit in my face and ask me to pay for this to happen for you to keep your car because you didn't remember to pay your Blackwall Tunnel thing, God.
And I guess we can
funny,
come
guys.
to you, Tyler, because I feel like we've obviously shared our own. So I guess we can come back to you, Tyler, and like your own experience, like with family and like cultural kind of like expectations and everything.
I'm the oldest of two. So then I guess it's this whole like with Caribbean, Jamaica specifically is when my grandparents came over and then had my parents here. So I'm second generation, I guess. But this is the idea of you're supposed to be better than the generation before. So then it's like, okay, my grandparents came over and we're doing like, I don't know, they were nurses and those kinds of jobs, helping rebuild Britain after World War II, Windrush generation kind of thing. And it was like, oh, it was really hard. We couldn't find anywhere to live. We had to do like family household shares, blah, blah, blah. And then we all worked really hard and then we were able to either buy a property or rent a property. And then after however many years, we were able to buy it. And then my parents were like, okay, so we've seen that. And now we need to be able to buy a property that's out, like, it's not in a rough area, it's in the suburbs. Like, oh, we live in the suburbs, like we've got our own like garden. I'm not going to say it's massive, but it's like bigger than what they grew up with. So then it gets to me and my sister, and then we're like, well, millennials, we're all fucked. Like, no one's able to buy it. Generation rent is a thing for a reason. But then it's kind of like, I'm an architect. My sister's a lawyer, but she's renting. I had to move back home after I lived in London so I could save for a house. I've been trying to save for a house since like the beginning of 2020. And then, I just have not done that. So then it's like the other day, my granddad came round and he was like, his house, he's got a nice house in like a well sought after area. When he moved there, it was like still a well sought after area, but it wasn't as expensive as it is now because loads of people have moved up from like London and been priced out of London, so they're coming here to Manchester, and they're hitting all the well sought after places, which is pushing the price right up.
Yep.
So I could never afford to live there. But it's this thing where I was like going to his house and I was like, Granddad, you need to do it up. Like you'd had the same kitchen since the day I was born. And he's like, oh no, just like do it when I'm gone kind of thing. And then he's like, shouldn't you have your own house anyway? Why are you looking at my house? I'm like, I'm not looking at your house for me. I'm looking at your house because I'm like, you need to upgrade it. But it's this whole thing of like, but why don't you have a house? Why are you still at home? Why, like, why? And I'm literally like, I don't know. I get paid like money. I just don't have that money. Like I've got a LISA or whatever it is, but then it's like, I don't hardly ever top it up because I never have the extra funds to top it up because I'm always buying random shit that I don't probably need. But it's kind of like this, what is it? What's the term? When you're living from paycheck to paycheck.
Pillar to
And it's
post.
like, yeah. So it's literally like every month the money comes in. I'm like, I'm not even thinking, oh, I'm rich, I can pay whatever. I'm just like, right, bills are sorted. I've got my pots. But every month the pots come down. And then it's like, oh, well, this month, if I'm saving for something, unless it's like, I don't know, my son's birthday and I was like, oh, I want him to have a birthday party or I need to save for my car insurance. I'll be like, okay, that's in that pot. I cannot touch it.
Yeah.
In those ways, like those things that I've got, they're all kind of like, oh yeah, you're fine, sorted. But then my mum and my sister and my dad always call me Mary Poppins because they're like, you're always pulling money out of somewhere to pay for things. And then end of the month, you're like, I don't have any money. How can you afford to do this, and this? How do you afford to go out so much? How do you afford to do all of these extracurricular stuff, but then you don't have any money? And I'm like, okay, I actually don't.
I'm on the mentality of like, I can't come and kill myself. Like, if I want to enjoy, I'm going to enjoy first. And I know it shouldn't be that, but
Enjoyment.
I need to enjoy because if we look at it, capitalism and everything is destroyed. I've got nothing left.
That's true. You can't have any more.
Nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing more to take.
Exactly what you said about Tyler around like owning a property. My mum has now not even bothered to have that conversation with me because I've said to her that me as a single person, that's realistically not going to happen. And I live in London. Like, it's not even going to happen. If it was to try and help me, it's still not enough money. And so she's no longer sort of like, get a house, do this, do that. But you'll see kind of like in the wider culture is like, oh, why has your daughter not done this? Or what is what's going on with that? Or why hasn't that happened? Or blah, 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 blah. When there's a battle in itself, but if we look at the economy and society on a whole,
That's it.
and I guess the episode is going to come out way after. Like, people are arguing about tube strikes, about the fact that people shouldn't be striking, when rightly so, because they deserve the money. Like, you've worked, all of that, but you've got people arguing at the fact that no, because it's disrupting my life and da 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 da. They have to do that because no one's paying us anything. We want to just survive. And we can barely do that. So the money is rightly so needed. But yeah, sorry, I went on a tangent. It's just kind of just like...
No, it's fine. It's so
good.
true though, because it's like people are trying to get by and get ahead, but you can't get ahead if everything's being squozzed. I don't know. But whatever that word is, that's happening. You've got cost of living, and then people are like, oh, well, I'm trying to like do better than the generation before me, but I actually can't because like when there were houses going in Manchester, less than 100,000, those same houses now are going for 400, 500,000. How is and the salaries were completely different. You could get people who were on £20,000 back then who were able to afford a house that's under 100,000. Whereas now you're getting people who are on 25, 30,000, but they can't afford a house that's 400,000, 500,000. It's impossible, especially if they're on their own. So it's like
Yeah.
you either have to have help, someone has to die, whether it's the person who lives in the house before you or a family member, that you're just like, okay, well, if this old person's died and they don't have any family, then it means that it's either going to go to the bank and they'll probably just want to get it done as quickly as possible. So it might be cheap or they might auction it. In which case, you're going to have every millennial under the sun that's been on Rightmove that's going to be like, okay, how much can we scrape together to get this house on auction? That's the only way that you're going to get a house that you actually kind of grew up thinking that's what I want.
And you've just touched
Yeah.
on a really good thing around it is getting to the point where you have to wait for that family member. It's going to get to, I hate that I have to say it out loud. They have to wait for that family member to die and potentially be able to get on the property ladder. I've had quite a few friends, unfortunately, who parents have passed away. And because of that parent passing away, they've been able to get on the property ladder based on the fact that they've had money in the properties that they would have to now sell, and then they split it halfway. It should never have had to, it never needs to get to that. But that is unfortunately going to be potentially some of our realities, to be able to get on or even owning something or having a bit of money.
Yeah, because I was saying this to one of my friends at work, because I was like, oh yeah, like I know that their granddad died and their partner's parent dad had died already, so they'd bought this really nice house like further out in the suburbs, like out Greater Manchester kind of area. And he was saying, yeah, obviously we wouldn't have been able to buy it without people dying. And then I was like, well, that's literally the reality now. But would you not rather have somewhere where you can take these members of your family to look at, rather than being like, oh, well, I'm living here because of them? Like, I would much rather be like, oh, I could have a house in inheritance, which would be great because then I get my own house, but I'd much rather have the relative there so I could take them around my house. But it's like you don't even get that option anymore because it's just so expensive. And then having the ADHD tax on top of that, it's kind of like, okay, so two of my friends that are together, they bought a house also in Greater Manchester, but on the other side where it's a bit cheaper. And they lived in a flat for ages. It was really cheap rent. So then when it was lockdown, they moved in with one of their parents and they were saving everything because obviously we weren't going out. They were able to buy a house for like between 150 and 180,000, like 3-bed terrace. And then she was just like, we literally didn't do anything. Everything we would get was just got funneled into the savings. And I just thought, lockdown was a great time. Because, yeah, that's the thing. They weren't able to do anything.
Yeah.
Because it was lockdown. So what were they doing? They were going for walks, which is free. Everything else would just funnel in. But if they were trying to do it now, they were saying literally we wouldn't be able to do anything. Like we wouldn't have any kind of life. There'd be no enjoyment. And it took us 3.5 years to get that much money. 3.5 years of doing nothing.
That was my cousins in Manchester, funnily enough.
No,
my cousins,
I
they
can't cope.
they did the same thing. So they moved into a property that was like, social housing, London and Quadrant. But when they got that lease, they had the option of the London and Quadrant was saving up on their behalf. So whenever they paid rent, some portion of that rent was going into a pot, which gave them enough money to save for a deposit. So when they went to buy, but they literally, that's what they did. It was just work. They didn't go on holidays. They didn't go out to dinners. They didn't spend money on clothes. And my cousins, I don't know what she's saying. I was just going to share something that is kind of personal, but it was really hard for them. That's what they had to do. Now they have a beautiful house. It's actually in Stockport, which is, they say it's not a really nice area, but at least they own it, it's theirs. It's like, it's share ownership, but like, they own it and slowly they have, but it's literally, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, that's too depressing for me.
Before that.
Like even just hearing it like sending me on there. Where I had to put my face in my hands. I literally can't, like, I can't imagine a life where I'm not doing and that me here
Yeah.
just in these four walls every day. Well, not every day. I go to work and then I come home. Can't even go to little Friday lunch with people because I'm saving that £10. Like, that is my idea of hell.
And it
I
goes,
would
No,
much
you
rather spend that frivolously, smash the ASOS sample sale,
yeah.
go out every weekend, live it up, go on holiday here,
Ah,
go to random kids things, pay for kids swimming classes, kids
yeah.
gymnastics, kids
Yeah.
football, go all sorts of wildlife centres. I don't know how much money I've spent. I had a good time though.
Yeah.
And that leads me on to
That is
kind of
part of
like
ADHD.
asking about, and I think we've kind of touched on it, but I guess we can kind of touch on it a little bit more about like feeling the pressure to hide your struggles because other people have it harder. We've always heard of like, oh, but you know, that person on this and da 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 da. They've got it harder, so why can't you not get it right? And I guess it's kind of like, how do you then balance that how do you balance cultural pride with that? I guess we can go to Charlene first.
I was just thinking, I don't even know how to answer. I don't think you can. I was going to go for no. I don't know,
Mm.
actually. Do you know what? Someone's always going to have had it harder. There's like always. I mean, there's no end to that. But it's all subjective, though, isn't it? Like, my life is hard too. It
Yeah.
is hard. I know it's a different framing with different characters, different numbers and things like that. But it's still hard. I mean, if you're just going to go with this person had it harder than you, and I do understand. I understand that the struggles are very much different, and I think even just talking about this ADHD tax and talk about the finance and stuff like that. I mean, you could even say that these are very, very, very much first world problems that we're talking about here. You could say that, but we're still living here with the same damn problems and the same damn tax. I don't know what to say. I know there's always going to be someone that has it harder, but this is hard. I think a lot of neurotypical, it's like you wouldn't realize how hard it is being neurodivergent actually and dealing with this. And like I said, it is all subjective. We don't know each other's struggles. We don't know any of that. But I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I hear it.
After this, but with much of discussing ADHD, it's like I don't know what to tell you.
I hear it. I guess, Anna, you can kind of go into kind of like the late fee stuff and the penalties and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll hand it
Yeah.
over to you.
Thank you, Jules. So late fees, penalties, inaccessible forms, many systems are built in ways that punish ADHD traits. Capitalism often sets us up to fail, charging us more for the very struggles our brains make harder. So the ADHD tax isn't just personal, it's actually structural. So, have you ever tried to explain ADHD struggles to a bank, a landlord, your workplace, and how did they respond? Tyler, over to you.
I've never had to do it with like a bank or a landlord. I guess I'm trying to think. Yeah, like one of the things that I actually, when I was younger and I used to like rent and stuff, especially when I was in uni for my undergrad and my postgrad, I just made sure my name was never on those bills. I am not like my credit score when I moved back to Manchester, it was okay. It wasn't good, but that was because I'd never borrowed anything. I'd never had a bill. I'd
Right.
never had anything. Nothing was in my I was always like, "Oh, you can put it in your name. I'll send you the money. I'll just send you the money. It's fine. Just you sort it out. I'll just send you the money." And then it wasn't until like 2021 that I got my first that I moved into a flat on my own. And then I had to like do all the bills and stuff. And I was just like, how do people do this? And that's when I properly was like, okay, if I just set up like I already had another account anyway, so I was just like, I'll just use that account and have all the bills in there. And then that was when it was just like, okay, everything's going in there, whether it's paid on the 2nd of the month, the 1st of the month, or the 28th, 29th, it just goes in there and I just forget about it. And then the direct debit's set up and it just goes. I don't have nothing. I put the money in, I don't look at it again. So I've never really had to like explain it in that way or like had any struggles with that. Because I kind of like over did it beforehand to compensate, I guess. Workplace, I guess since I've done this whole like access to work thing and like told them, oh, I've been diagnosed, blah, 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 I explained it to the HR person and my like head top partner manager person. And then after that, like I've never really, I think I've had like 3 conversations about it. The first time was when I was coming back from maternity and they were like, oh, how does it affect you? And I was like buffering for ages and blah, blah, blah. And then never really thought about, oh, how's this going to impact work? And then when I was in work and I had a manager who like, we just didn't vibe, like he's definitely neurodivergent. I don't know what, but he's very like, we just, my ADHD and whatever he has we do not gel. And that is how it was literally like, I remember I was having like personal stuff going on as well. And he was just on. I was just like, anyone out there, please send me something so I do not lose my shit in front of this man right now because I would like to keep this job. And then I remember having to go to HR and it was just like, I was literally, I've had it. I was working from home and he sent me a message. I was like, I am done with his shit. I like typed this angry Teams message to HR, like, I need to speak to you right now. Blah. And then she was like, okay, what's the problem? I was like, I just need to like I can't, whatever it is that I've got and these traits that I have are not working well for this work environment. And now I cannot do my work and he is pushing buttons that don't need to be pressed. And how am I going to get through it? And then it was like, okay, you need to come in and have a formal meeting. And then it was like, here's everything that I've experienced and how I'm feeling and how it looks based on like my neurodiversity brain is how it's taking all of these things and the perception of it. And this is what's making me feel. And I don't want to work like this, but I also don't want to leave. So what's going to happen? Something needs to happen. And then it was pretty positive because then it was like, okay, so we'll have a meeting and we'll discuss with the 2 like assistant managers and the main manager and we'll disclose to them your neurodiversity needs and requirements and see what adjustments can be made. And, you know, if it's things of like giving you written instructions instead of verbal ones, so then you can come back to it. All of those like very, very basic access to work stuff. But it was like, okay, this is how it's actually going to like impact the working day and this is where the flexibility can be. So if they've given you something, they know, okay, maybe it's not going to be done in the next hour, but maybe in the next hour and a half, and you just have to give her the flex for that. And you harping on and being like, is it done is actually going to be more detrimental than just leaving her to do it and then she'll message you when it's done. It's not like it's not happening. So that was actually really good. And then we got this thing set up at work. So if I work with, because I'm quite a floaty person in the office anyway, so I'll work with different teams at different times depending on the workload. So basically whenever I work with a new person, a new manager, then the HR manager and my like partner director person will go and have a meeting with them and be like, these are Tyler's needs. This is how you need to adjust working so that you can work smoothly.
Amazing.
And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with that. But then it's very much like is it okay if we disclose your needs to whoever? I'm like, yeah, it's fine, obviously. Like, I'd rather you disclose it. Like, I'm very open about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do this podcast and blah, 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 blah. But then it's still like, I guess from a HR perspective, it's like, oh, we have to ask you for consent first and then disclose it if you feel like it needs to be disclosed. Like, we don't need to disclose it to everyone because it might not be relevant to everyone if you don't work for everyone. But then it'll be like lunchtime and we'll all be like, people will be laughing and joking. I'm like, oh wait, I'm ADHD, I'm autistic, blah, blah, blah. But then inside the office, it's like, oh no, definitely disclose that. Yeah, you can disclose it to just those people. Like, I'm not bothered, but it's the fact that they still have to ask, I find really weird. But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
even know if I answered your question, but yeah.
Yes, absolutely. No, absolutely. I have had many a times. I actually find it easier to explain my struggles to the bank or to a landlord or to my workplace or to council tax people, I don't know, than I do my family and friends. I feel like they are more understanding of your challenges and difficulties than
I guess it's less
family and
judgment as
friends.
well. Because it's
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like, oh, but I've known you your entire life and I know you can do X, Y, and Z. I remember my mum always used to be like, oh, now you've got this label. Do you think that means you get a free pass? And I'm like, no, it's not a free pass. They can give a girl some grace. But it's like, oh, okay, but I guess sometimes in work, I definitely feel like I lean into it more.
Me too.
Like the
Oh,
mask
yeah.
is, just take that off.
It's gone.
I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling
Yeah,
it.
it's gone. It's gone. You don't need to do it. Why?
Why?
You already know. All these people coming to work, in wheelchairs and or with AIDS or
Yeah.
with other things, and they show their physical disabilities or impairments. Why can we not show also our neuro divergencies and our
Exactly.
differences to people? I also have, on top of that, I've got like really bad chronic pain. So it's when I'm on the train or whatever, and I sit on the disabled, the side where the seat which says
Yeah.
disability, and I get some people trying to look at me like, please say something. Please
Please.
say something. So I can just bring out my accessibility card and just, this is what it is. This is what enables me to
I
sit
actually
here.
loved when they started putting up those, like, not all disabilities are visible things.
Visible.
I think I went on a holiday with my family, and it was like just after I'd been diagnosed, and I remember being like, I'm going to use all the disabled toilets because I can. And they were just like, what is wrong with you? They're like, you can wait like everyone else. Like, not every disability is visible. Maybe I'm going to get overwhelmed in the line. Maybe. We don't know. We don't know. So I may as well. And they were just like, you're actually so extra. And I was literally just like, yeah, but it's also for me if I want 5 minutes. But that is fine. I can go there. And also at the airport as well, you can get like the lanyards and stuff. And my mum was just like, why do you want this lanyard so bad? And I was like, I'm not waiting in that queue. But I'm not waiting in that queue if I do not have to. Why should I? I'm only going to get more annoyed and frustrated, and then they get there and they're like, right, okay, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. They're not talking to anybody nice. When I can go and have a nice experience in probably a shorter queue, and the people are going to be like, hi,
Absolutely.
how's your day been? Like, we're going to give you a bit of grace. We're not just going to try and get you in and get you out, because that's going to make my experience better. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I loved when they were like, oh yeah, not all disabilities are visible, because actually it's really, really useful to be like have
Amazing.
that acknowledged. But then it was weird as well, because then sometimes when I like have to fill out forms and stuff, and it's like, oh, do you consider yourself having a disability? And I'm like, I guess it is a disability, but then is it a learning difficulty? Is it SPLD?
Mm,
Like, how is there a difference? Because
yes,
sometimes they split them up.
they do. Yes.
And sometimes it's like, no, it's all lumped in together. So I'm filling in forms and it's like, oh, I don't know. Am I? I guess so. Maybe. But then it's not a physically impairing disability. Is that all encompassing? Don't know. I just very much need clarification on these things.
And
I
I
have no
guess,
idea where that came from.
sorry, before, I guess it kind of like goes into kind of like, I don't know, when I think about like shame, because again, it is sort of kind of like teetering, if we think about the tax and, having that conversation. And we did touch on it before when it came to family and having to explain to family around, the reasons behind the dopamine and the spending and and stuff. And I guess shame is like the hidden cost that makes ADHD tax heavier. The fear of kind of like, I don't know how to explain this, so I'm just going to pile it up. It tells us basically we're failing where others succeed, because like I said before, it's just kind of like, you know, when you tell somebody, oh, I can't pay this bill, and they're like, but you have a job, then that's the thing you already know. But then someone saying it out loud to you, you kind of feel like this, oh, okay, you know. But naming it and hearing each other's experiences transforms that shame into solidarity. As you can see, we all have various different spectrums of, you know, how we show up and what the impact the ADHD tax has on us. And it's so interesting because I think also, and I don't know, a lot of people say that autism is more of a spectrum than ADHD, which I think is like, that's a conversation in itself, because I think ADHD is also a spectrum as well. Like there are
Oh
different
yeah.
traits that
Yeah,
show up in different
definitely.
people, and that it's
Yeah.
not considered it. Like scientifically, it's not considered it. But like we can sit here and say, yeah, it is. It feels like it is.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that community is what helps move kind of like the self-criticism to problem solving. So like spaces like ADHD
True.
Babes and being us sitting here on a podcast talking about experiences that are all somewhat similar and helpful. And I guess, I know you can kind of jump in. You had a question for like everyone around kind of like shame and problem solving.
I do. So what helps you move from shame into action or problem solving? How do you deal with moments when your ADHD struggles end up becoming someone else's burden? Charlene.
I think it was definitely more prevalent before. I think in recent, maybe in the past year or so, I think maybe not even that long. I think rather than just kind of, I think it's hard to explain. Rather than kind of trying to keep the shame to yourself when it comes to actual problems that can be solved and things like that. Like you were saying before, Jules, about like not going to your mum to ask anymore. But I mean, but it's the same thing for me. I would go to my sister
Yeah.
or one of my good friends as well that do kind of understand where I am, and like the things, and like and and it's really simple, the simple understanding of like, it doesn't matter how much you earn or what your job is or anything like that, it still needs £52 like post haste. Right, so it's those kind of things. So having a space to be able to do that is so much better. There's still loads of shame and the dread that comes with it, just because it's not nice having to ask and things like that, but it is what it is. I think I have tried to kind of, with the diagnosis, and even in the past few years, I've just tried to, rather than shame yourself into thinking that, you know, one of your struggles, so like the ADHD tax thing is one of my struggles. It's not the whole entirety of my character or personality though, or my life. It's not, it feels like it sometimes, but it's not the whole entirety of it. There's other things that I do excel at, which is great. So I can keep a hold of those kind of things. But the whole good thing about like having a community though, like this, like I was saying earlier, having this space to kind of talk about this as well, yeah, it does wonders, because I literally just thought it was just me, and I was just
Yeah.
like, it was literally just me. I'm really, really, and it's not even as simple as going, oh, I'm really crap with money. No, that doesn't solve it. But I really thought it was literally just me.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so having been able to even look into this episode, finding out about the science behind things, and then having a space to talk where you're not being looked at as some, I don't know, some malfunction of a human being, does work wonders. And then it makes you, because of those things as well, then you're able to kind of think about, rather than trying to fix yourself, which
Yeah.
never works, rather than trying to fix yourself, you're going to try and fix everything else around you to fit in with you and fit in with what I'm like. So yeah, again, I don't know. Like Ty was saying before, I don't even know. I don't remember what the question was. I don't know if that was the right answer, but that was my answer.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. So I think we've had a very, very good discussion today in regards to ADHD tax. It's been absolutely amazing. And Jules, I think that if we can sort of like talk about a little bit more in terms of how we celebrate our strengths alongside the struggles that we have as well.
Yeah, of course. And I guess just before we kind of like get into that, I really did want to talk about kind of like solution, because again, this is such a nuance, and we can talk about this for England, and I guess we don't have the time to, but I know that when talking about community and the importance of us coming together, I think it'll be quite good to talk about like solutions and things we can do when it comes to helping ourselves to avoid those taxes. So I know that we have Charlene, and Charlene has actually come up with an innovative idea. So I'd love to hear kind of just like, you know, what you are doing to kind of just help the community when it comes to ADHD tax and stuff.
Well, thank you. So, like I was saying, I realised I'm never going to wake up one day and just be magically able to open my post, pay what I need to pay, and stay on top of my life admin. So, like I was saying before, instead of trying to fix myself, I would rather build something that can be fixed around me, and about building a service that I wish I had before, or that I wish I had right now. So, and I just wanted to put it into a bit of perspective, because what I'm saying is I would just, rather than just deal with something that can seem very simple, like opening my letters and my bills. So rather than just do that, I would rather start building a whole business around it, so I didn't have to do that. And that's where I think that's just where the perspective and thing comes from. So, and I wanted to build service basically that, so where things like my post and my bills are taken care of, and like removing the constant stress that I end up coming up with, that I end up carrying with me. I know that the ADHD tax doesn't look the same for everyone. So for me, it's opening letters and staying on top of my bills, but for someone else, it can be something completely different. So I wanted to make sure this service wasn't a one size fits all, but it was a flexible and affordable and tailored kind of service of support. And I wanted to do a judgment-free kind of life admin reset for people with ADHD who feel trapped by unopened posts, unread emails, all those everyday paperworks that piles up into overwhelm, and then into the ADHD tax. There are kind of generic virtual assistants, but there are none that's built with cultural representation at its heart. So this one will be recognising, especially for Black neurodivergent people, that we're often faced with an added stigma, an added shame, and also the invisibility when it comes to getting support as well. So combining practical backlog clearing, safe inclusive space, and for those in work or self-employment, the access to work kind of fund as well. That would be for ongoing admin support. So so I'm working on this now. Instead of just opening my letters, I'm working on this now. And it would be great to hear from any of the community as well for your input with this as well. Like I said, the ADHD tax can show up in many different ways. It would be great to hear what kind of service would be kind of flexible and tailored for you. So I just wanted to make it a service for us, by us, and for us. So and that's one of the really good things that's come out of being part of the community as well. But then also making sure you have safe spaces along with your journey as well. Like that, this idea more or less kind of took shape because one of my best friends is, when it comes to opening letters and bills and things like that, it is a pure lifestyle for her. She would get anxiety if there was a bill unpaid that wasn't done a year in advance. Her head cannot get around what I'm like with my life admin. She cannot get her head around it. And it would be someone like that I would just love to outsource all my life admin to. I know that she would sort it out. And that's what it came, that's the idea where it came from. So it's not about me trying to fix myself. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and have that disability. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
No,
And I would rather just
absolutely.
accept that it's not going to happen. But other things can happen to support me in that, and to make sure that I mean, if I could help someone else kind of not have the kind of years and years of just discord, the disarray, the disadvantage, all of those kind of things with something which I think is quite simple, then that would be amazing. So
Amazing.
And that's really, really good to hear. And I guess we can kind of, just before we wrap up, is talk about like if we can share any sort of like practical and emotional tools to kind of like cut the ADHD tax. So things that have worked for you, and then you kind of just want to share it to our listeners. I guess we can go with you, Tyler, first, and then all of us can kind of just like share our own little prompts that will help.
Yeah, I think, well, for me, definitely in terms of like money, because I don't really see it as a tax anymore. But financially, like having all those pots setting up, like, I mean, I could do it as a direct debit. I don't, because I like to physically transfer the money myself. So I know mentally that's gone in there and this is where, like, I can see all those connections. But having those pots is really helpful because it just makes me a bit more conscious about what I'm spending my money on. And even if it's like keeping the receipts, so I can be like, oh, well, I spent £53 that I didn't need to spend. At least I know that it's like I've got that in my head, and I've been like, okay, well, I already know going for the rest of the month that I've spent £53. Whether it was needed or not is anyone else's guess, but I know it's there, and that's been able to help me not spend as much money as frivolously. But on the other elements of ADHD tax, I have nothing to give. So any help would be great.
I think your
Amazing.
way is amazing, though. I
That's a win.
Do you know, you're doing all right.
Yes, it's a win. Absolutely a win. And in hearing what you've just said, I would like to say that obviously to our listeners, ADHD tax is real. It is not a personal failure. It shows up in money, time, and energy. But we can reduce its weight by sharing stories and building systems, supporting one another as well. What feels heavy alone becomes lighter in community. So if you could just say one thing, one small win, as long as you've mentioned so many wins, but one win that our listeners can take away today would be amazing that you've had recently.
I've got one actually. You know what? I set up the auto pay for congestion charge, the Blackwall Tunnel and the new Silverwall Tunnel. A couple of weeks
Amazing.
ago, and for the Dartford crossing as well. Look,
That's just set up the whole thing.
look,
Set them all up.
the whole thing.
Yes, just in case.
The whole. You just never
Just
know.
in
I don't know
case.
when I'm going to go.
Exactly.
I don't know when it's going to happen.
Yes.
But if it does, there's auto
Amazing.
pay. And
It's
the
all
thing is,
covered.
and the thing is that I know the next time I drive into one of them, I'll forget that I've got the auto pay and then be so stressed about it, I'll go and pay again. But it doesn't matter.
Amazing.
I've done it. I've done it.
Brilliant. How about you, Tyler?
I recently cancelled a subscription that I've had for like
Nice.
since 2011. I don't know how long that is, but it was a
Wow.
magazine subscription, and I was on the student one because I was a student, and then they just kept me on it. So I was just like, this is actually really good because I'm getting this like magazine, and it's like an editorial magazine, an architecture one. And if I subscribe to it now, I'd be paying like £150. I'm paying
Nice.
half of that. So
Wicked.
technically a saving. But what one of my directors said was, well, you don't open them. So what's the point?
No, but
And initially they were in plastic, so I could see the front cover. So I knew if I wanted to look at one for work or like a uni project or something, I could just look at the spine and be like, okay, yeah, it's that one that I need to get. Then they changed it to paper, so now I actually have to open them. So I was like,
amazing.
this is pointless because I can't even
Yeah.
see what magazine the title is. So I don't know what they're talking about this month. So I'd actually have to open it, and then that also makes it pointless now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I cancelled it. There's no point.
How about, oh goodness. How about you, Jules?
Oh God. One thing that I did, also echoing what Tyler said, was actually cancel a subscription just in time. So I have a new thing where if I set up one of those ones where it's just like, yeah, get a free subscription for 7 days. I said, you can't trick me. No way. So if I sign up to it, I literally put a reminder in my calendar for the day before or 2 days before saying cancel the free subscription. I have had
Sometimes I cancel it the day after. I get the subscription and then I cancel it straight away.
I wish I could do that,
So
but
then
in
it's
my
it's
spirit,
gone.
I feel like if you do that, they're basically like, oh yeah, so you can't have the free subscription anymore. So
Yeah.
I know they can't do that, but in my head, I've
Yeah.
made up that mentality that the moment I cancel it the following day, they're going to be like, okay, so no free subscription anymore. And I'm just like, no, you made me sign in, use an email address, set up a password. I'm going to utilize this. So
that's what, you know what? You just saying that makes me think as well. You know, we were saying about how capitalism like profits off ADHD. It's those kind of things, isn't it?
Yeah,
They just
absolutely.
know that
They know they're going.
they know we're not going to cancel
Yeah,
after the free subscription. They know
absolutely.
Oh, I make an effort to know that now they're not going to do it for me anymore. I put it in my calendar. I get the alert. I'm like, okay, great. I'm funny if I don't even use the app. I don't even sign up for it. The whole 7 days, I forgot about the app. But do you know what? One thing I'm not going to forget is to cancel that free subscription.
Is to cancel that subscription.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
literally,
100%.
that is the win that was, it was a travel subscription. And it was one of those things where you could easily forget about it. And I was like, nah. So the moment I knew, I sent the email saying unsubscribe and unsubscribed. And they're like, sorry, are you sure you want to? Yes, I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm going.
Yes.
Bye. I'm going. Leave me.
Because when they start offering you, like, no, we'll offer you 50% discount. We've got this 75% discount if you use it, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, cancel.
How about
I don't
you?
want it.
How about you, Anna?
Oh my goodness. My win is definitely reusing my clothes a lot more when I do go out, and I don't feel that shame anymore. I don't care. Like, no, why should I feel shame? Clothes is to be used. It's to be worn time and time again. So yeah, and I actually had to do that through therapy, but it's worked. So that's my win now. I don't buy as much clothes as I used to before. So therefore I have a lot more money in my bank account to refurbish my house.
Nice.
I love that. So before we wrap up, it's been a chunky episode. You guys have got a lot
Absolutely.
to delve in and get into.
So much.
As we said earlier about turning struggles into innovation, Charlene again is in the midst of crafting that very service. So towards the end, we'll get Charlene to share where you can find her and everything. And hopefully kind of like it will help us understand the importance of community and coming together and not feeling shame around it and knowing that, you know, I'm not the only one dealing with this. And the more of us that come together and share our stories, the more easy and light the shame feels. And yeah, I guess it's just kind of, you know, if you have ideas, you know, this is for our listeners. If you have ideas, share it with us, you know, let us know. I know that we have a Discord and a WhatsApp group, a lot of conversations happening there. It's a space for people, you know, within the community to share that. So if you are listening and then you hear this and you're like, guys, so that ADHD tax thing, oh, ding, 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 you know, it is the space for that. So, and to anyone listening who thought they were alone in the struggle, we really hope that this conversation helps you feel seen.
Yes, amazing. And so to round up the episode, let's just do like a small recap about what we've spoken. We talked about the science of ADHD tax. We talked about how it impacts culture and our family, how we perceive that we've been seen by people. We talked about how we feel like we know that ADHD is also a structural thing that we should not be feeling shame about. I learned, and for me, the most interesting part of this is the innovation that we have as ADHD babes, and seeing Charlene come up with this solution, it's been absolutely amazing. So I'll be one who will be using it, account with that one subscription, and I will get all of my friends who have ADHD to sign up as well. So if you're listening, there you have it. I don't know, is there anything else that you would like to share about what you guys have coming up, Tyler or Charlene?
Trying to think. I don't have anything.
It was amazing and lovely to have you in our episode today.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to chat
Everything's
and learn
gone.
more about you both. Please, would you let our listeners know where they can
I have
connect with
no idea
you,
what's
like your
going
social
on.
handles,
Everyone's gone.
websites, everything, please?
Yeah, I think you can just
Have
catch
I
me on
gone?
WhatsApp on one of the
Are we
WhatsApp
still
groups
here?
that we've got. So do just send me a
Eh.
message on there while I sort out my social media and everything like that. Make it look
Thank you,
presentable.
Charlene. Thank you. To our listeners, if you found a sense of home here at ADHD Babes, consider supporting us. That could be signing up as a member, donating, or even just sharing this podcast with your people. Every single bit helps so that we can keep going on doing this beautiful work.
And obviously, you can join the conversation on our Discord and our WhatsApp group for members. Follow us on socials, ADHD Babes. Subscribe to our YouTube as well for the video version of this, where you get to see our lovely faces talking of the podcast. And most importantly, stay connected, and we're building this together. So thanks everyone for listening, and see you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. If you're a Black woman or non-binary person and need help and support in managing your ADHD or advice on diagnosis, please visit ADHDBabes.com. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. Join us in 2 weeks for a new episode. Until then, all the love from the ADHD Babes team.
Just as I am, can you take me just